Ancient of Days, or Head of Days, is a name for God in the Book of Daniel. In the original Aramaic Attribution, in the Greek Septuagint Palaios Hemerin, and in the Vulgate Antiquus Diarim, the title, Ancient of Days, has been used as a source of inspiration in art and music, denoting the Creator's aspects of eternity combined with perfection. William Blake's watercolor and relief etching entitled The Ancient of Days is one such example. In religion, Judaism, see also Names of God. In Judaism there are many sources for this term, including, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. Daniel chapter 7 verse 9. Whenever judgment looms and the forehead of the impatient one is revealed, the forehead of the Ancient of Ancients is revealed, judgment subsides and is not executed. Idra Rabbah, Zohar 3-136b. This term appears 3 times in the Book of Daniel, and is used in the sense of God being eternal. The most powerful effect of this particular name of God stems from the Jewish mystical book the Zohar, the seminal document of Kabbalah that emerged in 13th century Spain. In the Kabbalah there is mention of the Ancient of Ancients, and the Holy Ancient One, Atika, Kadisha, variably interpreted as synonymous with the Nsof, the unmanifested Godhead. The Ancient of Days is the manifestation of the Ancient of Ancients within creation. It refers to the most primary source of creation in the divine WorldCat. In 16th century Lurianic Kabbalah, Attribution is systemized as the uppermost part Suf in the rectification of the world of Atzilut after the shattering of the Sephiroth vessels. Keter of Atzilut acts as the guiding divine motivation in creation, developing into 2 parts Sufim, Attribution and Arachanpa. Attribution is the inner part Suf of Keter, synonymous with divine delight, that encloses within and motivates Arachanpa. The outer part Suf of Keter, synonymous with divine will. Arachanpa is said to extend down all levels of creation in ever more concealed mode as the divine substratum of everything. The Zohar goes into great detail describing the white head of God and ultimately, the emanation of its anthropomorphic personality or attributes. In the descending realms explained by Luria, the Gulgulta within Arachanpa encloses the chesed of Attribution, becoming the origin of the lights of the world of Atzilut. The Mokastimah within Arachanpa encloses the Gevurah of Attribution, becoming the origin of the vessels of the world of Atzilut. The Dinah of Arachanpa constricts the infinite light originating from Attribution in 13 channels of rectification to lower, relatively finite reality. The Merkabah text Re Yehezkel identifies the Ancient of Days as Metatron. Christianity and Eastern Orthodox Christian hymns and icons. The Ancient of Days is sometimes identified with God the Father or occasionally the Holy Spirit, but most properly, in accordance with Orthodox theology, he is identified with God the Son, or Jesus Christ. Most of the Eastern Church Fathers who comment on a passage in Daniel interpreted the elderly figure as a prophetic revelation of the Son before his physical incarnation. As such, Eastern Christian art will sometimes portray Jesus Christ as an old man, the Ancient of Days, to show symbolically that he existed from all eternity, and sometimes as a young man, or wise baby, to portray him as he was incarnate. This iconography emerged in the 6th century, mostly in the Eastern Empire with elderly images, though usually not properly or specifically identified as the Ancient of Days. The first images of the Ancient of Days, so named with an inscription, were developed by iconographers in different manuscripts, the earliest of which are dated to the 11th century. The images in these manuscripts included the inscription, Jesus Christ, Ancient of Days, confirming that this was a way to identify Christ as pre-eternal with the God the Father. Indeed, later, it was declared by the Russian Orthodox Church at the Great Synod of Moscow in 1667 that the Ancient of Days was the Son and not the Father. In the Western Church, similar figures usually represent only God the Father. Building his argument upon the Daniel passage, Thomas Aquinas recalls that some bring forward the objection that the Ancient of Days matches the person of the Father, without necessarily agreeing with this statement himself. In the hymn, Immortal, Invisible, God Only Wise, the last two lines of the first verse read, Most blessed, most glorious, the Ancient of Days, Almighty, victorious, thy great name we praise. Daniel chapter 7 verses 13 to 14 says, I kept on beholding in the visions of the night, and, see there, with the clouds of the heavens someone like a son of man happened to be coming, and to the Ancient of Days he gained access. And they brought him up close even before that one. And to him there were given rulership and dignity and kingdom, that the peoples, national groups and languages should all serve even him. His rulership is an indefinitely lasting rulership that will not pass away, and his kingdom one that will not be brought to ruin. The Ancient of Days, God the Father, bestowing upon the Son of Man, God the Son, Jesus, a kingdom and honor would suggest that they are two distinct identities. Among ancient Christian pseudepigrapha, one Book of Enoch states that he who is called Son of Man, who existed before the worlds were, is seen by Enoch in company with the Ancient of Days, in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The title Ancient of Days belongs to Adam, the oldest and earliest man, who is also identified with the Archangel Michael. Hinduism, the Sanskrit name, Kartikeya or Skanda, means always a youth, and is revered as one of the four sons of Brahma. Buddhism, in the Kevatha Sutta, the term Ancient of Days is referred to the creator god Brahma. I am the great Brahma, the supreme, the mighty, the all-seeing, the ruler, the lord of all, the controller, the creator, the chief of all, appointing to each his place. The Ancient of Days, the father of all that are and are to be. In Buddhism, although Brahma or the creator god is respected, he is not regarded as absolutely omnipotent and all-knowing, but someone in samsara who is subject to ignorance, birth and death, and a disciple of the Buddha. Baha'i, in the Baha'i faith, the Ancient of Days is one of the titles with which Baha'u'llah refers to himself.